Okay, I think we're up and running. So Shelby, just for your information, Sally Smith and Steve Smith that you might see there listed with you as participants, those aren't real people. Those are my other devices. Like I said, I'm still trying to learn the system and I want to make sure that I can see what you as a participant can see. So I've set up an iPad and another computer as well so that I can kind of see those views. So that's who those people are. So you're actually our only participant today, which is good for you because it means I can show you whatever you really want to see and exactly that. So just a little information, if you've never done anything like this before, you are in listen only mode. So you can't speak to me verbally, but you can type in the chat window that is over there and I will be able to see that and respond to you that way. Also, if you would like to have control of your microphone so that I can hear you speaking, at the top of the screen there's a little button for you to raise your hand. So it's kind of like a classroom. If you raise your hand, I can give you your microphone and you can speak. And clearly, you are not interested in doing that, at least at this point. So that's funny. Um, so I will just keep an eye on the chat window, and if I see anything there, I will be sure to address that. Um, you also have some other options up there with the raise hand where you can, agree or disagree or tell me I'm too loud or too quiet or anything like that that you need to communicate with me. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can get started. And I'm just going to go over the basics that I had planned. And I will certainly take your questions, anything specific that you're wanting to know from your perspective and the way that you might be using My Big Campus with students. I'll be sure to address that. You get special treatment. So let me go ahead and switch over to sharing my screen. Okay, so you should be able to see My Big Campus now showing in my screen. When you first log into My Big Campus, this is what you see. This is your activity feed. I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with that, just from us using it for professional development. Although I don't think I get to see you very often in professional development, so I'm glad you're taking advantage of this opportunity. So to get started with students using My Big Campus, the very first thing you have to do is to create a group that you're going to place those students into. And that will be the space within My Big Campus where you do all of your communicating with them and sending them files or links to websites or bundles you might create or anything you want to do like that in My Big Campus. So the place to get started is over here in the groups area. There's an icon on the left-hand side. So we're going to click that. And you can see that I have a good number of groups listed here, but you probably don't have any when you click on groups other than maybe the Southwest Park Digital Curriculum Group, maybe Montezuma Elementary Staff group might be listed there. But you're going to want to create a new group, and you'll do that with this blue button over here on the side that says Create New Group. So I'll click that. Okay, so now we need to fill out just some really basic information, and then later we can go in and make some edits to not only this information, but some additional options that will become available once we actually create the group. So you'll give the group a title. I'm just going to call this Sample Group 5. Yes, I've done this once or twice. You probably don't have the option to choose a school because you are listed under Montezuma Elementary. I'm a district-wide user, so I can choose which school I want that to be listed for. But this probably won't even exist when you go on your screen. Then you want to give it a small description. This doesn't have to be elaborate, but you do have to include it. So this is a group for demonstration. You might put, Mrs. Marsoff's group for however you want to describe the group that you're going to be creating. If you want to give it a special picture that's going to be part of the icon, you can click on that Choose File and then select a picture from your computer. You would obviously need to have that picture saved on your computer first in order to do that. And if you don't choose one, that's fine. It'll just give it kind of a generic group icon. You do want to leave this set to group. Groups and topics in My Big Campus are very similar to one another. The only difference really is that topics are for staff only. You have to have a teacher My Big Campus account in order to access a topic. So when you're using it with students, you definitely need to select group. So then we're going to click Save. So just those few simple steps and we have our group already created. It's not quite ready to use with students yet because we haven't put any students in it, so that's going to be our next step. But you'll see that we have all these tabs available here, and I'm going to show you in a few minutes how you can turn some of those off if there's any of them that you don't think that you're going to use. Sometimes it's good to eliminate distractions, so we can turn off any areas that you're not going to have the students focusing on. And here's that generic group icon that I was telling you about. If you don't put a picture in, this is the icon that shows up. So we're going to go to the members area next. And this is where you're going to enter your students. When you first go there, the only person you'll see in the group is yourself. But you'll have this nice little box that says search for users to add, and you can just start typing a student's name. And as you type the names, they start to appear. Now, I just searched by Anna, but actually I recommend that you search by last name. And the main reason for that is that there's so much variation in students' first names. You know, these were imported from our Harmony, so it's going to be what it was listed in Harmony, although there have been students manually added that might have been listed by a nickname or something they go by. So it's best to search by last name. You're most likely to find your students that way. If you ever try and search for a student and they don't pop up in this list, you just can shoot me a quick email and I can help figure out if there's something wrong with your search or if there's something wrong with their account. So we'll just select the students we want to add, and we can just keep doing this. These poor girls become my examples all the time, so they're kind of used to this. So we just keep searching by last name and then clicking on them, and that's adding them into this box up here. When I'm done with my list of students that I want to include in this group, then I just click Add Users. Now, if you don't do that step, they are not actually members of the group. So you got to make sure you click that blue button. A little black box pops up here that lets you know that those students have been added to this group. So once you've done that with all of your students, then when your students log in and they go to groups, they will see your group that you've just created. They'll see that in their groups list because they are a member of this group. So now let's take a look at how we can turn off some of these tabs and make some edits to kind of the permissions and the structure that we have of our group. That's going to be under this blue button called Admin Options. So if I click on that, and I want to go to Edit. Now you have a lot of other options in here as well. Most of these are really more advanced features and definitely things you might use like from year to year. As we end this school year and you're ready to start a new school year, there are things you can do like cloning the group, and you can select which parts that you want to clone over for the next year, which parts you don't want to keep. So those are really options that you would use between years, not so much something you would use getting started. So we're going to click on Edit. Now when I do that, I'm going to get the information that I filled out in the very beginning when I first created this group. Here's my title. Here's my description for the group. And then there's some other things that you have available now that weren't available before, like the homepage content. If there's something special that I want students to see when they first enter this group, I can put it in here. And I've got all kinds of fancy options. You know, I can put in a video actually from YouTube or upload a video. I can put in pictures. I can change my text font and color and size. I can do a bulleted list. All kinds of things. Some people use this for like a daily agenda, and they just go in and change that information. In your particular role, I'm not sure that that would be helpful, but that is something that some teachers use this homepage content for. If you don't put anything here, it's going to automatically put this description on your homepage wherever when a student goes to your class. If we keep scrolling down, you've got this privacy section, and you can select different options here depending on what you want to have accessible. Although I will tell you that there are also My Big Campus settings at a school and then also at a district level that can override this. So if you say that you want something to be public on the internet in your group, that actually only works if it's also allowed at the school and the district level. And we do have most things protected just to keep our students safe from, the big bad outside world of the internet. So you can change these things if you want, but typically you're going to leave those unchecked. Page creation, if you want students to be able to create pages, probably not something that you would do as you're first getting started with students on this, but you can check off all of them or individual students to give them the rights to create a page within the group. But I'm going to scroll on down here in this enabled pages section. These are those tabs that were across the top in our group when we first looked at it. So we can turn off any of these that we want. For example, a lot of people like to turn off the chat option. That way students aren't tempted to go to that chat tab and just be messaging each other. Now, that's something they don't get away with very long anyway, because they can't delete their messages. So once they type something in there, there's evidence that they're maybe off task. But it can be a distraction. So we can just turn that off, and that chat tab will just completely disappear. You don't want to uncheck your members tab, because if you do, you will not be able to go in and add new members to your group. If the students go into that area, they're just going to see who is listed in that group. They can't add or subtract anybody from it. So definitely leave this one turned on. You might turn off pages. That might not be something that you would use right away. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn that one off as well. Okay, so let's say we want to keep announcements, discussions, resources, calendar, and members. We'll keep those tabs and turn off these other two, and that way you'll be able to see how that changes the look of our group. So I'm going to click Save. Okay, so now you see that we have less tabs than we had across the top before. We no longer have a chat area for this group. So a lot of teachers want to make sure that they do that just to keep everybody doing what they're supposed to do. And you know what? I stand corrected, because I told you that the description would be right here, but it's actually up here, and there's nothing showing down below since we did not fill in that homepage content section of our group. Okay, so that's really all there is to setting up a group. We just have to do those simple steps to create the group and then add the students into the group in the members area. So then the question becomes, how do we start actually using this with students? And I'm going to try and, I don't know a whole lot about exactly what you do in your role. I apologize for that, but I will try to kind of gear this a little bit towards the little bit that I know of how you would maybe use this a little differently than some of the other teachers. So discussions is a great way to get started. This is a place where you could have students interact with one another. You could post a thought or a prompt and let the students have a chance to share their opinion. So all you have to do is go to the discussions area and click on Add Discussion. And you're going to give it a title like I'm just going to give it, a title there. And you do have to put in a tag. So tags are just like keywords. If somebody was searching for this discussion, what would they type in to search for? So I'm just going to put holiday as a tag. Then you're going to put your actual prompt here, like something like this. Of course, you could have a totally different type of discussion, but any sort of discussion can be done this way. You can also attach any number of things. Now, this line shows up all over My Big Campus, and it's just your share line. You can share anything from something new, something that's stored on your computer, like a picture or a rubric, any sort of file. You can share something that you've already put in My Big Campus in the past, because that would be in your drive. You also can actually share things from your Google Drive if you have linked your Google account. And that's actually the topic of an upcoming session of Opportunity in a couple weeks. So if you want to know more about that, you can join us then. The library, this is the My Big Campus library, so you could search for an item to add there, or if you already know of something in the My Big Campus library, you could search for its title. And then this is Quick Link. If you're not familiar with that, quick links are this little blue push pin up here. It's a way of bookmarking pages within My Big Campus. Not from the web in general, but just within My Big Campus. So if you're on a page, you can go up here and add it to quick links, and then you can easily add it to any sort of discussion or announcement or all over the place in My Big Campus. So that's what this is for. You can restrict it to certain students. So and I think this might be appropriate for you and how you might use discussions and groups in My Big Campus. You could have every student that you work with in that members area, but maybe you start a discussion and there's only a couple students that you want to participate in that. So you could start the discussion in this group and then just type in those students' names. Maybe I only want Anna to be able to see this, so I can just type in her name and then click Save. Once you do that, it'll create the discussion, and then you can, students can log in here and write a response. You can reply. It is tiered and like threaded, kind of like in a hierarchy, so that you can reply to a reply. It also has this nice little heart over here. This is kind of like on Facebook when you can like something. If you can click this, and that's just a means of acknowledging that that you like it. So they have that little feature in there as well. Now, something exciting that is coming to My Big Campus discussions is that very soon, when you create a discussion, the page that we were just on previous to this, where we were creating this discussion thread, there will be the option to enable grading on your discussion, and you can set parameters to track the number of times a student posts in that discussion. You can give them a grade on that and then export that so that you can enter it into a grade book. So those are all features that are coming soon to the discussion feature in My Big Campus. So discussions are a great way to kind of start interacting with your kids, and of course they can participate in this discussion whether they are physically with you or not physically with you. So that's a nice thing as well. Announcements is another good area for you to use with students. It's basically the same process as with a discussion, except it's much shorter. I think you're limited to 255 characters here. So you can type just a quick announcement. It's supposed to be brief. And then again, you can attach any number of items to that. If you set up multiple groups and you want to be making the same announcement to more than one group at a time, they've just released this feature. Actually, this just came out, I believe, on Friday, where you can type your announcement and then click on more groups, and you can check off any number of your groups that you want to send that same announcement to, and it'll show up in the announcement feed on all of those groups at once. So you can type any sort of announcement. I put this as a test, but you could type like study for your test or whatever you need to put. And then we click post and it shows up there. Anything you post as an announcement or a discussion is also going to show up in the student's activity feed. So I'm going to move away from this group for a minute. When they first log into My Big Campus, they see this. This is what's happening in the groups that they are a member of. So everybody's activity feed is unique. Mine's not going to be the same as yours because we're not in all the same groups. So you have to make sure that that they're a member of your group, or it's not going to show up in their activity feed. The other thing you need to be aware of is that it's going to get buried. If you post an announcement on Friday and that student is in 16 groups, There's going to be all kinds of things that show up in this activity feed, and your announcement's going to keep getting lower and lower. So sometimes teachers say, well, go check your activity feed for my announcement, and students may not be able to find it because it's gotten pushed way down. So then they just go to the group itself and we'll find it there. So I'm going to go back to my group here now so we can discuss some more. The resources area is just a place where you can post any sort of files you want to share with your students. You can organize this into folders, so you can create a folder and then put different things in it. You can also, let me just click here, we're going to upload something. I'm just going to pick something random from my computer here. So I just picked a PDF from my computer. I click open. It's loading it in, so you want to let it do that. Processing. Okay, so once it looks like this, then you can just click Share Attached Items. And then now that item is available in the resources area. So again, you can attach things from the library, things from your drive, quick links, any of those items can be attached in the resources area too. A lot of teachers use this section for their class procedures or any documents that they send home at the beginning of the year that are going to apply all the time, maybe a syllabus for the older classes. Any of those kind of things can go into the resources area. The calendar is exactly what it sounds like. It's a calendar that you can post any number of events or activities on. And it's just pretty simple and straightforward to use. Create new event. You're going to, now here's one thing you do have to pay attention to. When you click on create new event, it's not automatically sending it just to this group. You have to tell it that. It's going to create it as a personal item. So you have to tell it to send it to this particular group, and you just check off the group that you want to send it to. What kind of order? Oh, these are in the order I created them. Okay, so I can check that off. I can say what the event is. I can say, you know, the date that it's going to begin and the time. And click done. You can set all kinds of different things, location, you can have it so that people, you know, say that they want to participate or not. Send in a reminder to them before it happens. A lot of those features are things that I don't foresee that you would maybe use with your students, but those options are all there. Again, you could attach things, you can put in a complete description. When you save this, it will send them a little notification up here in My Big Campus that an event has been added to their group. So if you don't want that to happen, then you can check this. Maybe if you're like working way in advance, you can check that off, and then they won't get that notification at the time. So you can just save that and it'll show up in the group calendar, except I left the description blank, so it's not liking that right now. But that would be how it would show up in the group blank. Okay, so I'm going to shut up now because it is like 3:30 already, and I want to see what you specifically want to know. Will it post to each group member's calendar regardless of whether they clicked on that group? Yeah, when you create something in the group calendar, it's going to automatically put it in each student's calendar. This calendar button over here on the side is going to show everything that's happening in all the groups that they are a part of. So they don't have to navigate to your group and then navigate to the calendar section. They can just go to calendar and it's going to automatically show it in their calendar as long as they are a member of that group. Does that answer your question? Okay, do you have any other questions or specific things that you want to see about maybe how you would use this with your students in your role? Okay. Well, that's good. It's good to just kind of learn things, even if they don't currently apply to you particularly well. And who knows, maybe you can help out, another teacher who is trying to use this with a whole classroom full of students. Um, and certainly just good to kind of learn the ropes and be ready for the future, like you said. So that's great. And of course, if you think of questions later on, please don't hesitate to email me. I'll be happy to run you through something or establish another feature for opportunity in the future. You're very welcome, Shelby. Thank you for showing up to Opportunity. I seriously thought I wasn't going to have anybody at all today, which was going to just be a little bit sad. So thank you for being here and for listening, and I hope you learned a little something, and I hope you have a nice evening.